Hey, I'm Des.
Hey y'all, I'm Sai.
And we're the co-hosts of Let's Talk Sis podcast, where we truly believe that together empowered women can transform their lives.
Join us for heartfelt stories, enlightening conversations, and a whole lot of accountability along the way. Hey y'all.
Hey.
So we're back with another episode.
Yes, we are.
And what are we talking about today?
You said you wanted to talk about reconciliation.
Yes,
we can talk about that. I think that's good.
All right, so where do we start?
I feel like it's a lot of different pieces to reconciliation.
I definitely agree with that. And today I just felt so compelled to really dissect this conversation.
Why did you feel so compelled?
Just based off of some current events. I don't want to get too much into it, but
what transpired in your life today?
Nothing important at all, but I was thinking back on the first episode we recorded of the year.
What was that about?
And we were basically talking about like goal setting and realignment, resetting, and things like that. Yeah. And then I think the episode after that, we talked about previously we talked about the art of friendships.
Yes.
And how uncomfortable it is to, navigate friendships when you're continuously growing. Yourself. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just want to shed some light on like the opposite end of that. Like
what is the opposite?
Like how do you know when a relationship is no longer,
you feel it,
when it's no longer serving you?
You feel it.
Like what's the feeling?
I actually think this is a good topic, especially where I am in my life now. You say what?
I said I know. that inspired me also. I was like, okay, this is relatable. Being as though two of your friends cut you off in 1 week.
It wasn't in 1 week. It was between the course of a few months, actually. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Wait, time flew.
Yeah.
October was just here.
All right, why aren't you telling all my business? And I'm keeping this in. We being real transparent, y'all. I got cut off by 2 people for real.
Go ahead.
No, but seriously, I personally think that you feel it. Like it's a feeling. I took a lot of time to think about it because initially when these things happen in these friendships, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any way. I think it was more so the routine that bothered me. The routine that was no longer there.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's like, I don't mean it to sound like bad or anything like that, but you just go through different phases and different things in your life, and I feel like you can feel it. I've never been a person to not acknowledge things. So I have been a person, like, if I go through things with friendships, relationships, I would reach out and I would resolve issues. Even with these 2 friends, with what happened, I reached out to both of them.
The first question I asked you before you dive deep into your dynamic and your current events, the first thing I asked you was what's the feeling? What is it? Like, what's the emotion surrounded around just feeling it?
I want to say the lack of emotion. But that feeling may not relate to everybody. Because I'm a person, like, I feel it. I know when I miss somebody. I know when, okay, this is something I need to fix, smooth over, and get it right. Yeah. I know when I feel that.
Yeah.
And you know when it's just time to move on.
Yeah. I think for me, based off of past experiences, in this, I can't really, off the top of my mind, just recall or reflect back to a moment where I felt compelled to like disassociate myself with someone.
Okay.
As an adult. But there has been times where the same friends that I have around right now might have not been able to be here for the previous season, And I think for me, the emotions that are typically surrounded around it for me is always uncertainty. That's the thing that kind of keeps me around longer than I necessarily should be in most cases. So that's why I think that this is such a great think piece and a conversation to really dissect, because anything that it's just so crazy, because just saying it out loud, I'm like, anything that's from God is just, it doesn't have that confusion element of it, especially if you're in alignment and you're in tune. But just thinking back on that, I could think about like what we was just in Philly, y'all, and we did the live podcast that we told y'all about. And I think one of the questions the host asked us was, could you recall a moment of your first
friendship heartbreak?
Exactly. Excuse me. And I think that I probably never even acknowledged the moment that I spoke on stage as a heartbreak within the perimeters of friendship. A lot of times when we talk about heartbreak, it's always like intimate, partnership, like things like that. But to have a platonic heartbreak, I think that really just hurt me, more.
I don't know. I'm thinking back. I don't even remember. I probably just said like a friendship breakup that I had, because I personally don't even think I've ever had a friendship heartbreak. I don't know. I am the type of person, and it may not seem that way, especially to you, because I'll be hearing how you respond to some things when I ask you, but I know when I value something or someone, and when I just wipe my hands of something or someone, then that's what that is. I know when something is worth fighting for.
So what makes you feel like relationships are, I'm not talking about necessarily the ones that were severed recently, but like how, like on the scale of like, left and right, what do you weigh good and bad of like, okay, this is worth fighting for?
Honestly, it personally is where I'm at in life and what I'm dealing with or what I'm going through. So at this moment in this situation, and it really may sound super cliche, but I actually just mentioned it to my mom the other day. I have been praying more than ever for God to put the right people around me. I feel like I'm going through this, as I've been mentioning on the past few episodes, this release of being a people pleaser. And because of that, a therapist had asked me, the relationships you have, are they based off of strictly like solely who you are, or what you're capable of, or what you've done, something like that. She asked me, I don't know, but it made me like, okay, I've been praying so hard like for discernment, and also for God to just put the right people around me and remove the people that aren't for me if I don't have the strength to.
That's good.
So in the midst of that, because I've been praying for that for like a minute now. So for what happened in my friendships to have happened recently, it's no reasoning for it. Like there wasn't no major fallout, wasn't no debate, no argument, no fight. It was absolutely nothing at all.
But that's also your perspective, don't you think?
I know it's both for our perspective. If there wasn't no argument, fight, or debate on my end, and it wasn't on your end neither, because you need two people to do that.
But how can you speak so profoundly about the totality of the situation when that's only your perspective, and you never even had a conversation with?
My perspective is that nothing tragic occurred.
But tragic to you, in a sense.
Well, nothing that involved me. Whatever you got going on your side is very personal. And I'm not saying don't acknowledge or it's not important, because I'm sure they had whatever they had going on, and that's the reason why they did that. But from my point of view, God said I'm doing what you asked me to do. So,
I mean, if you feel like God is telling you that, and God said that to you, then I love that. Way. Yeah, I love that for you. But in the midst of the reason why I really want to dissect this aspect of the conversation is because I feel like so many times I hear people have disagreements or some sort of separation within their friendship, and there's always this one person who will just be like, oh well, I don't give, like, I don't care, like it is what it is. That used to be third. And it's like, it's really not healthy.
It's not at all. It's not healthy.
It's not healthy, for one. For two, it's like childish. Yeah. And for three, it's just like, it's heavy side eye,
It's super side eye, because it's like, what was your feelings or intentions the entire time?
To a certain extent. But it's like hearing you say this is like, and speak on the totality of the situation without having a conversation prior with this person, or, you know, coming to some, not saying that it's necessary in all cases, but for you to have not really, you know.
Oh, you talking about me personally?
I'm saying, I don't know what situation you're applying this to, or what dynamic or whatever the case may be, but I'm just saying in totality, just based off of how you're speaking. I don't want anybody to take it and run with it like, oh, just wash your hands with people completely. And
no, I'm not saying that at all.
Disregard friendships or whatever the case may be, because I have definitely ran into my fair share of women who are like that. And
but that's why I also said, and that's why I was very clear on, I know what's valuable and what's expired.
But what is that based off? Like, contingent on what?
The dynamic, the relationship, the conversations. Anything that transpired between my friendships or relationships recently, it wasn't just a out of the blue type of thing. So, I mean, like I said, there wasn't no specific time and moment to pinpoint, but it's also kind of like, I wasn't super blindsided.
Okay, that makes sense. I think when you say you feel it, I think that if you're in tune with yourself, you can definitely feel when something is just like fading away in a sense.
Exactly.
And that's honestly because what they say, like, wherever your attention goes, it grows.
Yes.
In a sense. And I think that as you continue to become a little bit more aware of what the situation is, you kind of naturally just like withdraw yourself.
Yeah.
It's like a defense mechanism in a sense.
I think so.
To start preparing for what you know is going to happen. But okay, so Neil, let's bring the conversation to the reconciliation side. So under what stipulation or on what grounds has there ever been a time that a friendship or a relationship has called for reconciliation for you?
A few years ago, in Miami. I was living in Miami. Are you asking like for me to speak on a situation specifically?
Whatever you feel comfortable doing. I don't want you to get beat up over a podcast episode.
Getting beat up is crazy. Yeah, just it was an old friendship that whatever happened, and it was one of those like, we grown now, we past it, we over it, and I was open to it. Like, I'm cool, I'm for it. But what I do know is, I grow constantly and I change constantly. Me as a person, I can say I change every few months for real. But I really change a lot. And when it's like revisiting old dynamics or old situations, I'm completely open to it. But with me personally, it's like we got to start over. And I've realized with a lot of people, it's like we can jump back to where we ended. So sometimes that gets misconstrued a little bit, I want to say.
What do you mean?
Because it's like I said, on my behalf, it's like we got to start over. So we like brand new friends again.
Okay.
It's no, you know how it is.
Like, it's not based off a brand new
person. It's not based off. It's not on my side.
Okay.
Whereas though on others, and I do know this from experience, because I've reconnected with a lot of old friends, and on their behalf, 9 times out of 10, it's normally we back where we left. But it don't work like that for me. Yeah. So that's how it always is for me, and most of the times it don't always work because of that. Because it's like on their end, they like you being fake or you being weird, and I'm like, we gotta start over. We gotta start from ground zero.
Yeah.
So really, on my point of view, it's like we brand new friends again.
That's valid. I never really thought about it from that point. I don't know. I'm trying to think about, I think normally, like, whenever me and my friends have reconciled through situations, we normally just pick up right where we left off.
That's normally what people do.
Yeah, that's what they say. So for me, I don't know. As long as we address what it is and establish some sort of boundary moving forward, I think that, like, I'm cool. And I'm a real forgiving person. It might really just be like a gift and a curse to an extent, for me personally.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not just open and comfortable with everybody. So when I have those valued friendships or those valued relationships, when I do become vulnerable in a sense, once that's over, and I'm not going to say like once they did something or I did something, because there's been friendships where I've done stuff, they done stuff, whatever the case may be. But once that line is cut, I'm not just about to be an open book all over again from day one. Like the whole starting back from where we left, I've tried. It don't work for me. The energy don't be there. I can't. It's not something I could do. And that's on friendships that's been like broken up for a while. Like if I don't talk to you in a few weeks or a month or two, then that's different. But I'm talking about those like, oh, I ain't talked to you in 3 years friendships. It's no going back to where we left off at all. Not for me anyway.
Yeah. I'm also just a really firm and strong believer in you really show people how to treat you in a sense, right? And a lot of times I make the correlation of friendship and like relationship, intimate, platonic in a sense, but it's because based off of like patterns. Like for example, I had one girlfriend and I swear we would fall out like once a year, and then we would take like a 1 year break, and then we would just pick up where we left off. And it was the most like, now that I'm an adult and I'm mature, I can identify that. Like I could identify it then, but I think taking a step back, since we haven't reconciled or like, came back together, I could identify that we tangoing and breakdancing in a whole dance floor of toxicity. For one, and for two, when you for me personally, the way that I'm able to weigh in on whether a relationship is able to be reconciled, right, is for one, I'm praying about it. And for two, I really weigh in on the fruit of the relationship, right? And when I say the fruit of the relationship, I mean, okay, they say the people around you are a mirror of you, right? So what was my habits like? What were our conversations like? How did you make me feel? Things like that. And when I'm able to, it's so crazy because being transparent, I just reconciled with a friend too, right? And me and you had a conversation about this briefly, but prior to us falling out or whatever, it wasn't even a fallout because I'm grown at this point. So prior to us separating, it took me a few months actually to really be able to identify in what areas she was an attribute. Okay. Outside of just sisterhood and comfortability. Because we have to be mindful of just being comfortable and complacent in relationships that it's really just not valuable. That, like you said, the routine. So I think that was the routine factor for me, but it took me a few months to be able to like, yo, this was the only friend I had that I was praying with. This the only friend that I had that was spiritually mature to really take it there with me and talk about, the goodness of God. And it was like, as I started to realize, I have not really been consistent in my word and fasting and, dedicating my time to God. And not saying that I needed her for that, but accountability, we always talk about community and, friendship and stuff like that. But like, that's a subtle, like friends could be a subtle reminder of the things you need to do or like, So definitely. Taking it back to the reconciliation factor, I think that anybody listening to this, one of the main things you need to do if you're confused about what or how to reconcile a relationship, would be to pray about it.
You definitely have to pray about it. And another thing, what you kind of said when you said you had a friend that you went back and forth with and stuff like that, that's another thing. Like I think like I don't like controversy. I don't like anything that I really don't like anything that makes me feel uncomfortable. I know we scream like get uncomfortable and stuff like that, but it is certain kinds of uncomfortable. Like I don't like arguing and fighting, especially with my friends. I feel like sisterhood is so sacred to me.
I really cannot tell.
I don't argue with my friends. Who do I argue with?
Me.
Girl. Like I said, I don't argue with my friends. So the moment stuff like that break out, I gotta get away from you because now it's no longer a safe space.
See, I'm like the complete opposite. I like controversy.
I'm aware.
But what I don't like is like conflict. Like, I'm real big on, like, because
Is that not the same thing? What's the difference?
I feel like it's not the same because, like, I'm a conspiracy theorist, right? So I'm always looking into, like, things that go against, like, normality, if that makes sense. So that's a controversial topic. For example, something that is worth going back and forth about. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But there's still substance at the root of it. Yeah. Conflict is what's the problem? Like, what are we, like, I feel like in controversy, we can say, you believe that, I believe this, and we can agree to disagree.
That's controversy.
Exactly. And conflict is kind of like, what's the problem? And why are we facing so many different issues continuously? You get what I'm saying?
Oh,
and
like
that's the part. To a certain extent. We're really good communicators, though. I can say that. So we get to the bottom of our, it's not really conflict.
It don't be conflict.
Yeah, but say it's not really conflict with us, but that's the part for me. It's like, red flag. And then when I start and then I'm real big on merging my friends. Mm-hmm. So if I start bringing you around my friends, my other friends, and it's a problem, that's like another telltale sign. Like, I don't know. Like, how are we so grown and just can't be amongst, other people? So, I don't know. But I've definitely had my fair share of, like, being in the, I just want to say this real quick. Excuse me. I just want to say this real quick. I'm so happy that throughout all the different transitions of friendship and, like, separation and conflict and all that stuff, that I'm still a girl's girl. Like, I be thanking God, like, I'm still a girl's girl, like, genuinely at my heart, purely for the girls. Because it's so many people that say they for the girls, but don't be really nasty and mean-spirited.
It's friendship PTSD. I used to talk about it a whole lot. You can have friendship PTSD. That's when you're claiming to be a girl's girl because you surface level, that's how they want to be. You want to be for the girls. But deep in your heart, you can't trust people and you can't be around people because you've been wronged or you've wronged so many times. Whereas though you can't even let that as near to your heart as you would even like it because it's like you just, you subconsciously can't allow it.
That makes sense. And I think that's one of, like, when I said it was a pro and a con to be so forgiving. Yeah. I think because I'm so forgiving, I don't suffer from PTSD within the perimeters of relationships. Yeah. No, like relations and friendships to a certain extent. Because I be counting it all joy quick. Okay. Like, I just be like, I don't know. I don't really take it personal.
Is that how you really be?
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
She's always being shady, y'all. But no, saying. Seriously. I think that, like, it's so crazy because, like, I be hurt behind the situation, but I don't allow it to, like, consume me.
Do you be hurt or do you be salty?
It depends on the friendship dynamic and what it is that happened. Okay. So, like, the last relationship or friendship that I told you that I just reconciled. Shout out to my sister. I love her. But
I love that for you.
I think for that situation, I was just genuinely hurt. Okay. Sometimes it's like, and it's not nobody to blame but myself, but when you put so much trust and value in a person, you kind of uphold them to a certain standard. So when they kind of fall below the radar or the standard that you set for them, that's what I was about to say. Emphasis on that. That you set for them, it's kind of like, damn, like,
Yeah.
Like, I thought we was better than that. So it wasn't even like I'm salty. I feel like salty would be like, I don't know, some crazy shit. Like, you backdoored me or something. But I'm out here calling you my homegirl.
Salty is not always that. Salty can be any insult to your pride or ego as well.
Yeah, no. I wasn't salty. I was genuinely hurt. Okay. Like, like sad. Like,
okay.
Damn. Yeah. Not my girl.
I think my situation, I was salty.
I would be salty if I got cut off too. Like, I did the cutting off.
Remember, that's what I was about to say. Remember, I just told you the other day, and that's what I kept emphasizing, and I didn't even realize it at first because I think I was talking to my mom or something. And what I kept saying was, like, I've never got cut off in my life before by no relationship, by no friend, by nobody ever in my whole entire life. Like, I cut people off. Yeah. And then it's like, even that's what I just said, reviewing these relationships that I had. Well, this relationship, because both of them were not the same at all. The situations were not the same. But reviewing it, it's like I kind of seen it coming ahead of time. And me trying to be a changed woman and not cutting everybody off, I stretched it out for me to get cut off. Like, I feel like this just showed me, like, go what you initially feel.
So it sounds like you just a little upset because you ain't cut her
I'm
off
salty.
First. Okay.
Like,
all right.
That's all it is. But I can honestly say that. That's what it is for me.
So how about the other friendship dynamic? Like, did you mess up in that one? Because to get cut off by two people is kind of just showing a pattern here.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm trying to figure out,
are you the problem? Am I the problem? No, actually, you're the problem.
Wow.
It's like no, I didn't have a conversation.
Gosh, no way.
I didn't have a conversation though.
She said I was the problem. She meant that. So you said I was the problem. So how do you typically navigate, like, okay, so let's take it back a step. Have you ever been in a friend, like had a friend who didn't like another friend? And how do you navigate those type of situations?
I've never been in a situation like that. Like really didn't like another friend, no. I've never been in a situation like that.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I can't really give on how I navigate through that because I've never been in a situation where somebody like wholeheartedly like didn't like somebody. Like I've had friends that was like, oh, I don't care for her, or whatever the case may be. But that's not big enough for it to be a situation or a conversation or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so in your last friendship dynamic, you said that I ruined it.
I didn't say that.
You said I was the problem.
You said, are you the problem? I said, actually, you're the problem. No, you didn't ruin it at all.
Okay. So hypothetically, let's say if I, like, a friend was the reason for another friendship not working out, is that probable cause to, like, reach out? Or do you feel like that kind of has nothing to do with you to an extent, so that shouldn't affect the friendship that you have with that person?
I don't know what basis you're really speaking on right now, but I know with my situation specifically,
yeah, I was trying to generalize that.
Yeah, so I'm getting confused a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, my situation specifically, that was really just like with that situation, I'm gonna just tell you the basis of how it occurred. It was, I don't remember who reached out first, but it was, we both ended up speaking to each other, and it's like, yeah, I need to talk to you about this because I feel this way and I want you to know how I feel.
Right.
And I understood it. I'm like, okay, like whatever. Let's talk. I'm going to call you after work or something like that, I said. And then she's like, okay, call me when you get off work. Life occurred. I never called. She never called. And that's literally how it happened. We just never spoke. And then...
So it's your fault?
It's not my fault. Why is it my fault? How did you get to that?
You said, okay, I'm going to call you after work.
Period. Okay, so
which was a contractual agreement.
I'm going to tell you, okay, we're going to be honest.
And life did happen.
Transparency on the mic. Let's be real honest.
Okay.
So the truth of what really happened was, I said, I'm going to call you when I get off work. She agreed with it. Cool. You're going to call me when you get off work. During my 8 hours at work, I had time to think. And within that thinking process, I came to the conclusion of, I ain't did nothing. What am I calling her for? She want to talk about it, she can call me. Now, that was wrong. That was wrong because there was no communication. There was nothing. I didn't communicate. It was definitely wrong on my end. I take full accountability in that entire situation. It was a lot of pride.
Per usual.
No, not per usual, but it was pride. And I think it was more so, not only just was it pride, because it's not per usual. When I have situations with my friends, I reach out to my friends. You can ask any of my friends.
Well, how many friends do you be having situations with?
I mean, I've had debates and back and forth. I've had falling outs with a few of my friends, but any type of situation, everybody, like, I don't be having, like, I'm not gonna say I don't be having pride, but when I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I have no problem.
I don't have no problem with taking accountability. I'm not the problem. You trying to portray this to this audience?
No,
and I am not the problem.
I'm literally, you're talking, and
but I'm saying in this one situation,
hold on. What we are gathering here as the listeners of what you're saying is that if y'all don't think, okay, listen, if you're watching this or listen to this and you feel like Destiny is not the problem,
I should have called. Am I are you saying I'm the problem overall, or I'm in the problem in this one situation?
In this situation.
Okay, yeah, I said I was wrong.
So when you gonna call your homegirl? I feel like you owe her that. Like, especially if this is a friend.
Especially, no, I can't say I do. I know I do. Especially, like, what's happened after. Like, I know I do. I do. But I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But I do.
Okay.
I know it. I take accountability. I'm never,
I'm just so happy that this, our favorite saying is being recorded. Because y'all can actually see and hear what I have to go through. Like,
how do you have to go? What do you mean?
Could y'all imagine being friends with someone who was like this terrible at like putting their ego aside? Be for real. Like,
I'm terrible at putting my ego aside.
Oh my gosh, are you?
Am I?
Terrible is an understatement. Like,
what?
Seriously, that might
you
be
really
that,
feel that?
That might really be that star syndrome you talked about. That only child syndrome.
You think I'm really bad at putting my ego aside?
Yeah, you are.
Give me a scenario.
Okay. So, you had a misunderstanding with your friend.
No, we already talked about that scenario. Give me a scenario that involves you.
I can't
for you to say that.
Okay, so next episode, I'm going to start the episode
Nope,
off
we need to start it now because it's going to be forgotten by the next one.
I'm going to comment one.
You needed to.
I'm going to comment one
No,
on here.
You need to say it in here so I can defend
remember.
myself.
It's too many.
Name one. When people say that it's too many, that means
seriously,
they can't. They have none.
It means when I draw myself to use the capacity that God has given me to think about all that you have done, I instantly get,
now it's all that I have done.
I instantly get overwhelmed with a whole bunch of different emotions. It's like I get flustered.
Okay, but let me add on right there. Mm-hmm. Yes, I have been very prideful in this particular situation, and no, it's no excuse, but I can say the friend in particular that I am referring to and dealing with is her pride is an elephant compared to mine. It's 10 times more, and I think that's the only reason why I'm holding out so long, because it's like I can do this better than you can, and that sounds terrible. I know.
You need to grow up. Like, I know you're young, but like, seriously.
Oh my gosh, girl, we're the same age.
We're not.
You are 1 year older than me. Don't piss me off.
Our dynamic,
don't piss me off.
Circle of friends.
Hold on. We're not talking about circle of friends. We're talking about you and yourself. But wait, can we speak on the fact?
Why are you getting so upset?
Because you're pissing me off.
You're very upset.
Because you are sitting up here like I'm so prideful. Are you? Your ego and your pride don't.
Yeah. But
when I do it, it's childish, and when you do it, it's regular.
No, what you said, I don't do things like that. I don't have a what is it? Unspoken.
Because overall, I don't feel wrong.
Can I speak? I don't do the whole unspoken battles of pettiness.
Where's the unspoken battle? The one time when I just didn't call because I didn't tell her I'm not going to call her.
No, that's not what just happened. That's not what just made me say that you're childish.
What made you say that?
You said that your friend's ego was an elephant in comparison to yours.
Yeah, she got a big
that's the sole reason why you feel like you have not reached out yet, because I'm trying to show you that I can do this better than you.
Because and I still stand on that because overall, because I'm not getting into the situation on here, but overall I don't feel like I've done no wrong in the situation. But you keep emphasizing this. You got cut off by 2 people. Oh my gosh, I got cut off by 2 people in my 24 years. In my 24 years of living.
Look at. Do y'all
Fuck
hear?
You and them people.
Do y'all hear the ego?
Y'all heard that? Yeah.
Like,
I don't care about none of it.
I'm so happy because it's like as we continue to record these episodes, we get more and more comfortable behind the mic and behind the camera, and it's like y'all are literally starting to see personality, and I'm loving it for y'all. I am loving it for y'all because in public, baby.
In public, what?
You would have thought she was Miss Innocent, okay? But anyways, I mean, as a friend, no, genuinely, all jokes
smiles
aside. To the side. Yeah, I'm saying, all jokes aside, all smiles to the side. As a friend, I am telling you that is very immature.
No, I'm aware.
Of you, and if you're aware, you get held accountable to what you know. So if you know better, do better.
I've just became aware within my last meeting at therapy. But
and when was that?
A week ago.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I just became aware with my last week at therapy. And I don't know, because I've reached out. I haven't called, but I reached out. Like, it's so many moving parts to the situations, and
we don't have to dive
protecting
into it.
other people, I feel like I'm looking like the villain right now, but it's so many moving parts. Like,
Of course the narcissist will say that.
that's whatever. I don't even care. I don't got nobody to prove.
Look, y'all. Oh my gosh.
I don't got nobody to prove right or wrong to. The people that I'm referring to, they know the situation, and I have reached out.
Okay.
So,
Well,
whatever y'all think is what y'all think. I'm a good person.
I mean, as long as you and the Lord think that you're a great person,
And that's all that matters.
Exactly. Amen.
Amen.
Well, obviously I struck the nerve, but I feel like this conversation was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy. One thing about them tables, y'all, they do turn. I'm really excited for this conversation. I'm hoping that somebody who is listening or watching this today could really pull something out of this conversation, like outside of the laughs, outside of the smiles, you know, the personality aspect of it. I hope that there was some sort of substance provided that could really help someone in the midst of it, or someone who has experienced it,
definitely
release or relinquish that need of control, for one. And then also something else I want to add before we wrap up. Another emotion that's surrounded around outgrowing friendships for me is guilt.
Yeah.
Because honestly, what I start to realize, you know, as an adult and as someone who has embarked on their personal development journey early on, people literally operate at their best capacity, right? And sometimes I think as a friend or as someone who you might have love for, you might see potential at a higher, you know, threshold than where they're operating. But people are literally operating at what they consider to be their best, right? So sometimes I feel like, for me personally, there's been this guilt associated with having to let go of people. Just kind of coming to terms with your best of what you're operating at is just not, it's not
working for me.
You know. And in the past, transparently speaking, I have definitely felt like that heavy guilt, because I don't want to, like, I hate being the person. I have never wanted to be labeled as the person who has switched up, you know, or the person who thinks they're better than people, because that comes when you want more. When you want more for yourself, I feel like that comes with it.
And I want to speak on that as well. Like I said, all laughs and all jokes aside, and I spoke with my therapist about this as well. I think a huge part in this that has occurred for me is my shift within myself. I've been saying, like, so much, like, oh, been a people pleaser and I'm trying to get over it. And I think I'm in that space of being super uncomfortable and not knowing where to go, as far as being so used to being a people pleaser, and now it's like I'm trying to stop it cold turkey. So now it's like I'm kind of being a bitch. I haven't met that middle ground yet. So I think it's definitely, with me going through that, and then on top of that being like really super, 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 super busy doing everything else that's pretty much distracting me. It's like I don't have the time, the patience, and I don't want to say the care, but the super desire to patch up everything, because, and like I said, it's not good, and I'm in that uncomfortable space of trying to find balance and figure it out. But I feel like personally, this is something I've done all my life throughout my friendships. Like, I feel like I'm always making people feel better, trying to make people happy. How can this resolve this situation? And truth be told, I'm kind of over it. So I know you mentioned pride, but it's really not pride. Like,
it really is pride.
No, it's
but
really,
I think there's a whole nother aspect of it.
It's not, but I'm saying it's not predominantly pride. Like,
okay, it's not predominantly, but to say it's not pride is something completely different. Predominantly is like, okay, mainly pride. And that's okay.
It's not mainly pride.
Yeah, and that's okay to say, but to say there's no pride associated with that which is what you just said, is like,
but pride isn't the grounds of it. What I'm saying is, I feel like I've been the person to fix and mend things forever, and I need a fucking break. That's what I'm saying.
Love that for you.
So I'm not an asshole, and
You are.
okay. I guess we could title this episode "That's the Villain" because clearly she wants me to be the bad guy here so bad.
No, it's not even that. It's like
okay.
I'm not. First of all, I don't know your friends, so that's first and foremost. So I mean, organically, I guess naturally, the right thing to do from the eyes of whomever would be to side by what you're saying. But I don't really know the context of the situations that you have gone through with your friends because this is not a conversation that you and I have had.
Right.
Off the mic personally within the parameters of our friendship, because to be quite frank, we got too much shit going on, and we don't even we haven't even been watering the dynamic of a friendship for us to even be having those type of conversations, to be transparently speaking. But what I am going to do is tell you what I think is right, and just based off of what you shared with me today, and given the context, the little context that you have given. So if you feel like you saving people character by not sharing the full thing, by all means. And that's a certain level of privacy that I feel like should be maintained as a media personnel, right? But what I'm saying, from the listeners and the viewers perspective, because we're all hearing this information for the first time at the same time, you get what I'm saying? So from what you have shared today, I'm telling you what I think is right, and that's all I've done. So
I mean, not really. You calling me a narcissist and saying
pride,
that's not giving right or wrong.
No, pride, I definitely stand on that for sure. But narcissist, I was playing around, like adding a little key in there. But pride, I do feel like there's a certain element of pride associated with it. Is pride the predominant thing, like factor or attribution as to why you haven't reached out? No, I think that there's a whole bunch of things that's added to the pot, and a whole bunch of different layers that I could only know a layer of based off of our dynamic and watching you bob and weave through situations and conflict.
Yeah.
But this is your friend who you've been with for so long. So there's not every part of the situation that I'm going to be able to, speak on.
Yeah.
So my response was basically just solely on what you shared with us today.
I feel like your response would be like you said, with what anybody else would say, because you don't know no more than what anybody else knows.
So for you to get offended,
I didn't get offended.
Yes, you did. I feel like you owe your friend an apology. I'm still going to stand on it.
An apology for what? You feel like I owe my friend an apology for what?
For one, you said that you told her you was going to reach out. That was the one key point that made me say that. And then for two, you ended the statement by saying her ego, her pride is as big as an elephant, the one that I'm referring to. So basically, to sum things up, I'm not reaching out to her just to show her that I'm better at this than she is. So based off of the two key points that you shared within the element, I feel like that situation, in comparison to the first one, I feel like you owe her an apology.
Quick question.
Not an apology. Excuse me. I want to renege on that. Not an apology. I feel like it's your due diligence as a friend to reach out to her, to at least initiate a conversation.
I have done that. That's the thing. I've never said I haven't done that. I've done that. I just haven't. No, I said I haven't made the phone call to actually talk about the situation, but I have reached out.
We're going to be here all day.
We not, because I ain't talking about
if we keep going back and forth. Not. You handled the situation however you felt like you were supposed to handle it, and I love that for you. Yeah, that's that. So yeah, I feel like this was a really good episode. I hope that y'all had some takeaways from it. I enjoy having the conversation because I feel like conversations like this is kind of what exposes you to you, or at least shows you a version of you that maybe you weren't open to, in a sense. And that's why, piggybacking off of what I said earlier, I really do feel like your friends are a reflection of you. Sometimes they show you things that you need to work on, or, it just keep you on your toes. So I think that having those people around you who are like-minded is really important. And then you mentioned something a few moments ago that I want to piggyback off of. You said that you've been so busy, right? Mm-hmm. And you haven't really had like the time and the energy and all that other stuff to reach out. Essentially, it's a distraction. And when I started off, I was talking about how me and my sister, parted ways or whatever the case may be. And it's so crazy because as soon as I had that moment of stillness is when when I thought about it. But because I was so distracted and so busy and just so occupied with so many other things, I never really had a moment of stillness to miss her. You get what I'm saying? But once that stillness hit me, it was like, okay, now I have different friends for different things. And I think that I was able, in a moment of stillness, I was able to identify that this was missing. I don't have any friends that I could pray with or have these conversations with. So when they say you don't have to have a friend that's one size fit all.
Yeah, you don't.
I think that's so important. And I think sometimes we get in these situations and hurt our own feelings because we're looking for a friend to kind of fit the puzzle.
Every box,
when you should have a puzzle over here, a puzzle over here, a puzzle here. And, you know.
And it all comes together. And
exactly. Like, accept people for who they are. You know.
I agree with that 1,000%.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this was a good episode. It was very real. It was raw and transparent. I'm glad that y'all got to see a little bit of our dynamic and personality. I'm hoping that we can continue to just keep pushing. I feel like as media personalities, and I keep saying this because
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. I keep saying it because we was on somebody else's podcast recently, and they referred to us as that, and I was like, media person? Me? Yeah, like, hold up now, a new title. But I don't know, y'all. We just figuring it out, you know.
Literally, yeah.
We're figuring it out together, and then we figuring it out in front of y'all. Yeah, I was gonna say, and individually. So it's like, it's a lot. It's a lot. But yeah. What's your word of advice for a sister?
My word of advice for a sister today would be to hold yourself accountable. Accountability.
Cliche.
The truth. Hold yourself accountable. Know when you're wrong. Admit when you're wrong. Let people know that you're wrong. Because that's one of those things where it's like, you do this in public, but apologize in private. So if you're wrong and you know you've done wrong, or if you're right, stand on what you feel, but definitely hold yourself accountable in every circumstance.
I'm sorry, I don't want to be deep and I don't want to drag the conversation, but you said if you feel like you're right, you said if you're right, then stand on what you feel.
Yeah. And
I want to play devil's advocate real quick because, as you
always do.
Yes, because controversy is my thing. But right and wrong is black and white. There's no gray area. And what you feel, like, the heart is deceitful, right? Sometimes what you feel it could be misleading. It could persuade or pervert your idea of being right or wrong. And I just want to add that in as well, because as I'm like on my faith walk, I'm starting to realize and understand the character of God and the intentions of why there was so many rules and regulations, in a sense. Yeah. And as I'm learning the character of God, I'm learning the character of his children as well. And it's really showing me that, like, okay, I could feel like I am so right in this situation, or I could really feel like I'm so wrong, but what's right and what's wrong is according to, like, what has been set out. Like, it's black and white, you know? Yeah. So I just want to add that. I've been talking a lot tonight. My word of advice for a sister would be to Okay, so my word of advice for a sister would be to give yourself some grace. And I really am, this is something I'm telling y'all, and this will be my advice, but this is something kind of to me, like, I'm practicing this as well. And I think that last night when we were on the ladies podcast, it made me realize how much I didn't give myself grace. And then today I had my friend make a post basically saying how he took a moment to be present, and he was able to identify, like, yo, this is actually an accomplishment. Like, this is not just what I'm supposed to do as an adult, but this is also an accomplishment, you know? And and that made me think about, like, okay, we're constantly like, how can we show up for these ladies? We constantly like, okay, what system strategy can we implement? It's us two employees running a business.
Yeah.
Like, we're business owners, but we're the two employees. And sometimes I don't ever want to complain, because to whom much is given, much is required. You know, that's my saying, but it's not easy. And I feel like we show up and we make it look easy.
Yeah.
Especially given that we didn't put a face to their sister for a whole year, before we. Yeah. So now that we're coming out to the forefront and working on PR, it's kind of like, oh, where these girls come from? Or they new to the block, or things like that.
We've been in it for a year.
Yeah, not knowing how much work and like how much sleepless nights went into work, like just where we at today. Yeah. So I want to practice this year. Just giving myself more grace, being present, and just saying, like, girl, you did it, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Finding like a moment, like the small moments to enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's going to be mine.
I love that. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode.
Yes.
Remember to go to dearsisterletstalk.com to
and
shop your merch.
Get y'all merchandise, y'all. Sell us out. Yes. Sell us out.
And you can use the code DSPOD for 15% off while you're shopping.
And if you are listening to this or watching this, please leave us a 5-star rating. You know what? It's 5 stars already. Just leave us a rating.
Leave us a rating, whatever you feel.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, give us the feedback. A lot of times y'all leave feedback in my DM. Y'all texting me this and that.
Go put it on the ratings.
Yes, go put it on these platforms, y'all. Yeah. We're trying to grow and we're trying to reach more people. We can't do that without your ratings. So please don't forget to download, save this, comment, like, or subscribe. And I'll see y'all
on the next episode.
Okay.
Toodles.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast, Let's Talk Sis, with Des and Sa.
Stay connected by following us on all of your favorite social media platforms. And don't forget, use hashtag DearSisterLet'sTalk to find us.
Wait, before you go, head over to our website or our Instagram and join our interactive community for a daily dose of sisterhood, where like-minded women fellowship, encourage, and create a safe space amongst one another.
See you inside, sis.
Toodles.
Bye.